or welcome to Bird's Nest Stadium in Georgetown, Kentucky. If you were not with us for the first game tonight, Franklin County with a convincing win, 43-14 over the Scott County Cardinals. First loss in a season opener for Scott County since 2010. I looked that up. If you want some good news for the Cardinals, if you believe in historical indicators, that year they started 0-3 and they still made it all the way to the 6A semi-state round before losing to Male. So, in other words, a lot of football left to be played. We've got a lot of football left to be played tonight. We have the Great Crossing Warhawks in their season opener going up against their rival from across the county line, the Western Hills Wolverines. I'm Cal Oakes with Scotty Sutton. Scotty, what have you learned about this Great Crossing team this week? I think you, like I have looked at those second, third-year starters on the offensive line and think this team is maybe poised to have a breakout year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I was talking to some of the coaches this week, and they're just so excited about, just like you and I had talked about, that this was the first true spring that they had to be able to get out there. You know, the year before there was COVID. The year before that, they were all still in the building at Scott County High School. So this is going to be the third year where 4 out of the 5, this will be their third year of starting on the offensive line. Led by Kevin O'Daughtery as the anchor. They love him. And then, of course, you've got some superstars on your team with Caleb Perry and the Fisher kid. And anytime you're in a program or you take over a program, it seems like that third year is the year that, you're really expecting big things. So I think, the way they played last year, I'm excited to watch them play.
Yeah, you mentioned O'Daughtery up front. They've got Ethan Stadnick. They've got Brandon Smith, Zach Kugel, Chucky Wilson. It is a big, strong veteran group. You talk about Caleb Perry. You're going to see him just about everywhere they can put him on offense, I think. He's listed on the depth chart as the backup quarterback. I think you'll see him out of the Wildcat quite a bit. He's going to be split out as a receiver as well. And they may just line him up in the backfield, hand him the ball, too. They've got some other running backs. I think they're high on Makai Wilson. He's a newcomer to line up, but they've got some veterans, Jaquise Patterson, namely, who's carried the ball in the past. Gabe Nichols, coming off a knee injury last year, is poised to be the conventional quarterback in the mix. So I think they expect big things out of him. And then on the defensive side, we talked about this game last year being a 42-7 win. The defense scored 2 touchdowns in that game. And they had a couple both their other wins were predicated on defense too. They had some scoop sixes and some pick sixes, and they got things done on the defensive side of the ball. It kind of set the tone for the offense last year. I think the offense maybe is poised to pick up its share of the slack, if you will. And I think this looks like a game that Great Crossing should have a lot of confidence going in, but they can't be overconfident. Last year, as we mentioned, a much different scenario. They called each other up on Thursday and said, let's play tomorrow night. Right. This one they've had marked on the calendar for 9 months now. So.
Yeah, and they've got to be ready. They know they're ready to take that next step, but you've got to go out there and prove it. And now the newness is over. Now it's okay. We got to establish ourselves as a legitimate program, and we'll see what they look like tonight. You had mentioned the Wilson kid. I've heard great things about him.
Yeah,
a power runner who. It's funny, they say sometimes they can't get him to hit an open hole because he wants to run over people. So
I always like those kind of backs, and I think in the triple option that they run, that's really what you need. It's very similar to what Scott County does. Is you need that fullback kind of mentality, a guy that can just that loves contact and doesn't shy away from it as the Warhawks take the field. You mentioned Orion Fisher. He has 6 Division I offers in his own right, including UK and Louisville. He's only a junior. He's the prototype edge rusher. He's 6'6", not even 200 pounds. There's a lot of muscle that can be put on that frame in the next 5 or 6 years. And I think a lot of people are going to be high on that potential. He had 7.5 sacks in the 8-game season a year ago. So that tells you something about his potential.
Yeah, and the last time, not to put too much on the kid, but, you think about when Josh Allen came to Kentucky, he was just like that, 6'5", 190 or something.
Kind of spindly looking.
And had played some receiver, and, then he ends up being 260 and an All-American. So certainly coaches will see that potential. I've heard great things about him, and I'm looking forward to watching him play as well.
They look at body type and they look at the nose for the ball and the sense for the game that kids have, and he brings that. So Western Hills will kick off. Does look like Western Hills has maybe a skeleton crew over there in terms of how many bodies they've got tonight. So that could be advantage. Great crossing. We'll see how that plays out. It is not as hot as it was at 6 o'clock for sure. So ball is in the air. It's not a deep kick. It will be fielded just shy of the 30. Good room on the left side and out of bounds on the Western Hills side of midfield is Zakari Kelly. So Kelly, the short man, just at the 28-yard line, returns it close to 25 yards, and they will be in Western Hills territory to start the drive.
Yeah, heads up play right there. You don't want to let the ball bounce and get back to the, to the deep guys. He went ahead and fielded it, got left, and got them some good yardage, and now they got the ball on the 49-yard line. I am overly impressed with this Great Crossings crowd. They are jacked up. It's already 9 o'clock, but they are excited to be here. And
got a lot of people that probably haven't left that want to get their 2-for-1 deal and are going to see some good late night football here. Great crossing, lined up in the shotgun. Harris in motion, a handoff to Wilson. You said he'll run into the pile, and he does. Takes the handoff from Gabe Nichols and picks up a pair. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Nice job up front right there by the Western Hills defensive line.
Yep, I think they kind of knew what was coming there.
Yep.
They've probably not a lot of tape of this team because they had their scrimmage rained out, so that was not on Huddle, but they did play in an event down at North Laurel a couple weeks ago. So this is a different Great Crossing offense in a lot of ways. Nichols, the quarterback, coming off that knee injury, as we mentioned. Wilson was not in the mix a year ago. Harris in motion again. Nichols will look that way, but it's Perry over on the far side. He'll have the first down across the 40 to the 37. And that's what we mean about Caleb Perry. They'll line him up any number of places, and he's dangerous if they can create space for him.
It is, but you know what I like right there is that's a nice, easy throw for Nichols. Let's get into the flow of the game. Get it, get the ball into the hands of your best player, and it just works out all the way around.
First down at the 37 of Western Hills for Great Crossing. First series of the game. We are just over a minute in. Nichols again in the shotgun. Wilson the lone setback. Coulter in the slot, rather. Harris split out left. Wilson again up the middle, dragging the stack for about 5 yards. Good hard run.
I was just going to say that's good power football right there. It's a guy who just kept his legs churning. And instead of getting 2 yards, he ends up getting 6.
He's a senior who's come into the program. He's got a low center of gravity at 5'8", 190 pounds. It's a good weapon to have, is that running back that can take a pounding. They kind of had that a couple of years ago. They found that, but a kid who transferred out of the program. There's a quick throw to the left side, and Nichols looking strong, throwing the ball early. He gets it to Jacob Coulter. Coulter led the team in receptions last year. He is up to 26 for another Warhawk first down.
And that's 2 good balls by Nichols. I mean, I know that may seem like easy throws, but he's getting it out there in a hurry. It's hitting them right in the numbers, letting your receivers do their thing.
And again, they're calling, I think, good plays because they're giving him safe throws to make. That's what you want to do to get a kid acclimated to this environment. He's certainly never played in front of this many fans before. Nichols hands off to Wilson, follows his blockers, then cuts back inside. He'll get to the left. He's around the corner. Mackay Wilson is in the end zone. Touchdown, Warhawks, 26 yards.
We talked early and in the pregame about him just wanting to meet somebody in the hole. That time, great vision. Looked at the right, cut it back to left, then showed his speed, gets to the end zone.
Turned on the jets once he hit the corner.
Kicking for the Warhawks, number 53, Jack Harrell.
Perry holding for the kick, which is good. It's a 7-0 lead for the Hawks.
And you can't draw it up any better than that if you're Great Crossing.
A lot of things contributed to that. You had Kelly on the kick return to get it up to midfield. 2 nice throws from Nichols to Perry and to Coulter to set it up. The band getting into the action early, and Great Crossing hopes often.
Back to receive, number 2, Demetrius Britt. Number 5, Jaden Youngblood.
That's impressive for the Great Crossing offense. I think that's the one thing they've been lacking this last couple of years is being able to come down, score right away, and give the defense a chance to kind of pin its ears back a little bit.
Yeah.
They haven't jumped out on opponents quite like that. And I like the presence of Gabe Nichols. Short kick there, very short kick. Oh, it's ball's loose on the ground. Will it get it? No, I think it went out of bounds. It was on the Great Crossing sideline, and I think a Western Hills player fell on it at the very least, and then it was on its way out of bounds anyway. Getting back to it, I think the presence of mind that Gabe Nichols had, I think the more that you can run a conventional offense like that and not have to do gimmicky things with Caleb Perry.
Well, I was just going to say,
is nice.
In that entire drive, Perry touched the ball one time, and you still went right down and scored, and that's just good for everybody.
It just makes his role on defense that much better, as if he needed any more energy. He had 140 tackles in 8 games last year. This is the first we've seen of the Great Crossing defense this season. Fisher goes to the right side. Will Frazier on the left end. They're putting the pressure on early. Frazier gets the quarterback. Ball's loose. Strip sack for Frazier. Covered up at the 41. It'll be a loss of 3. Will Frazier's a senior who's, you could tell the weight room has captured his fancy. He's up to 174, 6-footer. Just haven't been able to say senior before many names on this Great Crossing team the past couple of years. It's good to be able to say that. You tend to win with them in this sport.
Yeah, you have to have upperclassmen.
A lot of movement on the Great Crossing defense, kind of showing Western Hills some different looks here. Defensive coordinator is Simon Vanderpool for the Warhawks. There's a good run up the middle for Western Hills. Number 44 is Jacob Fields. He's a senior fullback, 5'10", 188 pounds. He'll get it out to the 48. Gets what they lost back plus another 4. It'll be 3rd and about 6.
Be interesting to see if they move Perry around here. He's been playing that deep safety first 2 plays. We'll see if they don't move him up towards the line of scrimmage.
They're not going to get anything deep on Great Crossing with Mr. Perry back there, I don't think.
I think he's going to end up blitzing right here.
Wow, right in the backfield. Perry, you were right about that. Couldn't barely get the handoff made. The ball has been on the ground 3 times already, twice on this series and once on the kickoff before that. It's going to be 4th and 11, and Western Hills going to have to punt, and slow to get up, understandably, is number 44. Fields got rocked by Perry.
Well, you could just see him easing his way up to that line of scrimmage. Looked like he might go out and guard the slot, and then right before the ball was snapped, he decided to go ahead and blitz and just blew that play up. But you're right, that's 3 times Western Hills has put it on the ground. They're lucky that Great Crossings hasn't pounced on one and would already be in position to score again.
A little delay here as the player gets off the field and they get the ball spotted.
Back to receive, number 4, Drake Bird.
Drake Bird back deep.
Drake Bird had some nice returns last year in the kicking game. He won't get a chance to return this one as it's angled towards the sideline. Takes a little hop in Great Crossing's favor to the 31 where it's covered up there. With 6:47 to play, Great Crossing trying to build on a 7-0 lead. I want to thank Bluegrass Orthopedics again for their sponsorship of the Battle of Elkhorn Creek. They're serving the athletes of both Scott County and Great Crossing High School. Athletic trainers Kayla Hansen and Ainsley Swan doing the work for GC. Also want to remind you, you've been listening to this game at newsgraphic.com. Georgetown News Graphic, published every Tuesday and Friday with all the Scott County and Great Crossing sports news, not just football, but we've got soccer, volleyball, cross country, golf, you name it. Georgetown College football will be starting in a couple of weeks. It's a busy time of year. We love it. First down for the Warhawks at their own 31. Nichols in the shotgun. Hands off to Wilson again up the middle. Scampers for almost enough. Nope, it's not Wilson. This time it's number 7. That is Patterson, Jaquise Patterson. Similar features, similar build back there. 5'8", 182 for the junior. Hard for us to see. They're hard for a defense to pick up as well. They just kind of keep the ball low and scoot through. And if they've got that blocking up front, as you mentioned.
You know what I've noticed? If you're a Great Crossings fan, how excited are you? You've said so many times, made a lot of great plays last year, and now here they are back. It's for them to be back and tough snap there.
It's a tough snap that Nichols was lucky to get a hold of. He'll get taken down for a loss of 2. The good news for Great Crossing is it was 2nd and 1, so it's still a manageable third and 3 down and distance situation. But you're right. They just look like a totally different.
Yeah.
There's a different authority they have when they come up to the line of scrimmage. There's a different swagger. There's a different, business-like look to them.
A lot of guys have played a lot of football on this team.
They've had, 11 games 2 years ago and 8 last year. So, yeah, they've basically, even with COVID, played 2 full seasons. And most of them have been on the field for a majority of the snaps. Took a lot of lumps 2 years ago. They got that watershed win up to Grant County. And then last year we mentioned the 3-game winning streak. Beat Grant, also beat Montgomery, and beat this Western Hills Wolverines team. We got a timeout on the field with 5:19 to play, called by the Warhawks. They want to talk it over with 3rd and 3 from their own 38.
Yeah, they got out of the huddle pretty slow there, and it's an important play right here on 3rd and 4.
A little discombobulated after the bad snap, and want to talk it over.
But on a play like this is where you want to rely on that offensive line that has played so many snaps for you.
Some big boys up front. We mentioned Ethan Stadnick, 6'3", 237. Kevin O'Doherty, 5'11", 234. Chucky Wilson is 5'7", 252. Zach Kugel is 6'3", 260. They're big on the defensive side, too. Trey Combs is a big run stuffer at 295 pounds. A lot of these kids getting some NAIA Division III type offers besides Perry and Fisher. This program is certainly, as you said, having a real true off-season, preseason, so a chance to kind of get its feet dug in here. And it shows.
They still have Patterson in the backfield, which you got to like. That's a good change of pace. You got Patterson.
Well, they can mix
Wilson.
it up,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this day and age, even in the NFL, most teams have 2 backs. They alternate. A lot of time for Nichols. Downfield to Harris. Good throw, but he was kind of screened out by the defender. Now a flag. They're going to call the arm bar on one of them. I think they're going to call it on Western Hills from the reaction.
Yeah, I think they're going to call defensive pass.
He just never really made a play on the ball. He was just kind of trying to screen Peyton Harris there. Number 21, Dylan McGahee, 5'5", senior. He's kind of even – Peyton Harris, not a big guy, but he's still got the size advantage there. And McGahee kind of trying to use his guile, but not legally in this case. So it's going to be marched off 15 yards.
I was surprised they threw that flag. I
Yeah,
thought that was
I
pretty good
kind of thought so
defense
too.
right
You
there.
see it at all levels of football, but I didn't see a lot of contact. But it could have happened before the ball got there. It's admittedly a little dark up here.
Right.
Somebody's helmet went flying. It's not the running back, as Patterson's still going. He'll get past the 40 before he's taken down by number 5 from Western Hills. Of course, they don't have a 5 on my roster.
Yeah, I've got Jaden Youngblood.
All right, well, we'll go with that. I went with the KHSAA one. They did send one, but it wouldn't print off my email for some reason. It was in graphic form. There we go. All right, it's even color coded with the green and white.
And it's big where you.
It is big letters where I could just take off my glasses and look at it. 1st and 10 at the Western Hills Wolverines 36 for the Great Crossing Warhawks. Nichols in the shotgun inside handoff. Patterson getting the work on this drive. Gets the corner inside the 20. Knocked out of bounds inside the 15. Good blocking up front. Got that done again and allowed him to get to the corner. Jake Long had a big stick up there along with Brandon Smith. We didn't mention their names when we were going over the big guys. Smith is 281, 6'3". Long is 229.
And I believe he's related to the offensive line coach, who was a terrific football player at Fort Thomas Highlands and then went on to play at Tennessee.
The great thing about this offensive line is they got 7 or 8 guys they can rotate that have experience. So it's an exciting start for the Warhawks. They're moving again. Nichols a slant over the middle. That'll be inside the 10. The ball's on the ground. Are they going to call it incomplete? I think so. The play was whistled dead. Western Hills still running with it, but to no avail.
I think they're going to call a catch and say he was down.
Yeah, he's signaling incomplete. I thought he probably caught it and made the proverbial football move, but they're saying incomplete. Coach Paul Raines on the sidelines down there tonight. The much-traveled Paul Raines with over 200 wins in his illustrious career. The last one coming with the Warhawks 2 years ago.
Let's go make it a 2nd and 10 for Warhawks.
2nd and 10 at the 12. 4:04 to play in the opening quarter. Great Crossing on top, 7-0. Gabe Nichols in the shotgun. Jaquise Patterson, the lone setback. High snap again. He gets it down and gets it handed inside to Patterson, who's going to score. Nice presence of mind by Gabe Nichols there to get the snap and get it down, and Patterson did the rest.
I've been overly impressed with Nichols. He's made some beautiful throws. He's handled some tough snaps. He's doing a great job, especially for somebody who wasn't able to get to play last year.
And Jaquise Patterson, it has been night and day for him. He was a guy that had a tough time getting through that line of scrimmage, but the weight room and obviously the experience of that line helped too. But his vision has just improved dramatically. You can see he sees the field a lot differently. We've got a flag down.
And, Kyle, it's interesting. As good as Caleb Perry is, he's playing all these different positions. They've also got him holding on the field goal attempts.
Holding for Jack Harold, the sophomore kicker.
That could come in handy, on that. You want to fake it, whatever.
They're just gonna decline the penalty, so I guess they're gonna still kick it. You might be inclined to go for 2 when you get an encroachment penalty like that, but they just decline it. Perry gets the snap down. Harold splits the uprights. Do I see another flag? No, it's no good.
No good.
Thought it went through. Tough angle from here. Well, they'll come back up the field with a 13-0 lead. 2 backs have scored. Makai Wilson took the first series and took it to the house. Jaquise Patterson there with the 12-yard run to finish it off. A couple of nice runs on that drive for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that you're part of a nice crowd for the last 2 games. We have 3,100 paid attendance.
3,100 is the attendance announcement tonight. That's what was predicted for me yesterday. I asked how and Austin Haywood told me he thought about 3,000 tonight,
Yeah.
and he was right on, just about on the nose.
Well, they've had a lot to cheer about in this game.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have plenty more before it's over.
We're talking about that Franklin County student section, a terrific student section here for Great Crossings.
They have been treated to a 13-0 lead in the first 8 minutes of this game. Jack Harold to kick it away. Short kick, Squibber, still not handled. It's on the ground. Great Crossing thinks they have it. And they do.
That's an artificial turf. That was a tough bounce right there.
Trying to see who came out of it. Is it number 6? Looks like Isaiah Johnson. And the Warhawks are in business once again. They are at the Western Hills 36. They have had the ball twice and scored twice. Gabe Nichols has utilized all his receivers. He's had 2 different backs take it to the end zone. Wilson is the setback for this series. In the job share with Patterson. Nichols, straight drop, lots of time, throws over the middle. It's Perry. He goes up and gets the jump ball. First and goal, Warhawks. That's a nice weapon to have at 6'4" and 220 pounds.
Yeah, they had him double teamed. He goes up.
They can have him triple teamed. It doesn't go matter. Mr. Caleb Perry.
And, Nichols did a nice job right there.
Beautiful
of looking
throw.
off and then coming back towards the middle. But they had already made up their mind they were going to double team Perry, but it didn't matter. He just goes up and gets it. That's a man right there.
Great throw. Threw it where only his man could go up and get it. His man did go up and get it. First and goal at the 7. You just think he's only going to play defense in college. Hand off to Mekhi Wilson, tripped up inside the 5, and now a flag comes in. Might be a hold. It's a late flag. Yep. Going to be marked off against the Warhawks.
I think it was one of the receivers who came in and kind of got him from behind.
Little illegal hands.
Yeah.
Block in the back. So it'll be marked to the 14. Essentially a 7-yard penalty, 10 yards from the spot. Basically, it was when the play was over. It's kind of a shame. First and goal. A little more work to do now.
That's going to make a second and goal for the Warhawks from the Wolverines 14-yard line.
Nichols in the gun. This is definitely more of a spread college-style offense this year. They've got the weapons.
Yeah, and I was told that they were going to do, some triple options, some inside and outside zone, but
they did that the first 2 years, I think, because they knew they needed to shorten games. And, I've seen a lot of high school and college teams that thought they were a little outmanned have done that. And did it with some success as Wilson gets popped, but he gets close to where the original line of scrimmage. In fact, I think it'll be marked at the 6. Nope, call it the 7. So it is the original line of scrimmage. Second and goal, 2:30 to play first quarter. Yeah, I think Great Crossing did what it needed to do with its personnel the first 2 years, and now those personnel are all grown up.
Yep.
Second and goal from the 7-yard line.
When you got a guy back there like Nichols who can throw it.
He's impressed me for sure.
Yeah, then
he is a junior, 6 feet, 194 pounds, throws it with authority. Wilson goes right, zooms left again as he did on his touchdown run. Western Hills was ready this time as he got stacked up at the 5.
The 3rd and 5 here, Cal. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they didn't do a fade to Perry. I don't know how.
Yeah,
you could
have
guard
him
that.
go up and get it,
Yeah.
right? Nichols takes the snap, throws it low for Coulter, incomplete. Providing the defense there was Demetrius Britt. And now you got a decision to make. You're in the middle of the field. You have Jack Harold, who's made one extra point and missed another.
I think you're going to go.
I think at this point, what's the worst that can happen? You pin Western Hills at the 5-yard line or the 6. You've controlled the game to this point.
You may want to get a timeout here. You're
Yeah,
already
time
down
is
to
running
10.
down.
Yeah.
They're still in the huddle at 10-9. I think that's probably what Coach Ricky Bowling's going to do, although now they break the huddle 6-5. They have to get it off in a hurry. 2-1. They do. Nichols fakes it to Wilson. He'll keep it left. Bootleg touchdown. No, it's
I believe that was
Perry.
Perry, yeah.
There goes. It is Perry in the Wildcat. Caught me off guard a little bit. I was going to say that is too big to be Gabe Nichols and a little too fast. Great crossing. Pulls that play out of the sleeve for the first time tonight. Makes it work as Caleb Perry joins Wilson and Patterson with the touchdowns, and now he will hold for the Jack Harold extra point as the Warhawks look to make it 20-0. Now we're going to have a – yep,
Yeah.
They blocked it, but he came in early.
And now I'm like you. I think Great Crossing will go for
Why not
2,
just go for 2? You'll be on the 1.5.
Well, and you missed the last extra point. That one, even though that they had blown it dead, was missed. I put Caleb Perry back there in the Wildcat again and run it. But they're keeping him out.
They're going to do what they do, I guess. Harold kick is up. It's good. Great Crossing 20, Western Hills nothing. 1:01 to play. Caleb Perry with the 6-yard touchdown run. That's 3 different backs have scored now.
Well, in our last game, we talked about how Franklin County came out. They had the up 21-0 at the end of 1, and looks like that's what Great Crossings is going to do. They parlayed that into a running clock. So you have to think that's what Great Crossings is looking for.
They are playing definitely a Western Hills team that's undermanned and a little overmatched, I think, tonight in terms of athletes. It's Great Crossing hasn't let them get their footing offensively at all, and every time they've touched the ball themselves, they have scored impressively. They also had the squib kick recovery as they will kick off again. So Western Hills jockeying for position to try to keep that from happening again.
Yeah, they had to run somebody onto the field, so just to get 11.
They just look a little discombobulated. They'll try it again to this side, and they'll fall on it smartly there. Number 22 for Western Hills will crash to the ground. Dylan Norton will cover it up at the 44. Great Crossing defense will go back to work. Perry's had a big hit tonight, among others.
Good field position here, though, for Western Hills.
That's something they've got going for them. They've got some guys that can flat out fly. I know they concerned Great Crossing in that department last year. They can get to the corner.
This is where you just want to, hey, let's get some first downs. Let's calm this thing down a little bit.
Definitely a party atmosphere for the late night game.
It
here.
really is.
Why not?
Yeah.
Great Crossing is up 20-0. They've got the hip hop music going between plays, and still a big crowd. The combined crowd was 3,100, and I'm going to venture to say 2/3 of that is still here.
Western Hills got a timeout right before the play clock was going down.
God bless Western Hills, but you're down 20-0 and you're going up against Orion Fisher, Caleb Perry.
Yeah.
This is a ball hawking defense. Caden Allen.
Well, and we never got it confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that's their backup quarterback. They've had some issues.
Yeah, Dylan Engler
COVID.
is their scheduled starter, but I have not seen him. Mention a few more of our sponsors during this break. DMK CPA. I always have trouble with that one. Denise M. Keene for all your tax and auditing needs. Brickhouse Properties Real Estate. Buying and selling made easy. Chick-fil-A, home of the original chicken sandwich. TMMK, Toyota Motor Manufacturing of Kentucky. Clark's Pump and Shop, Return, Refresh, Refuel. They have 3 now locations in Georgetown. Georgetown Community Hospital. Your health and safety are their number one priority. West Banco, by all accounts, better, and Greens Toyota of Lexington. Great people, great cars. Think Greens. 20-0. Great Crossing on top. 1:01 to play in the first quarter of this BGO Battle of Elkhorn Creek. Neither game has been close tonight to this point. Deep throw by the left-handed quarterback. Perry's back there. That's a mismatch. He doesn't get his hand. He got a hand on it, but he can't get both, and it will fall incomplete.
And I tell you, Perry right there showed how unbelievably athletic he is, because he was fooled on the play action, and the receiver blew by him, and he realized it, turned and sprinted, and was able to knock the ball down just in time. So that's unbelievable what he was able to do there.
Jason Rogers listed as a running back. As you mentioned, he's a senior. He's playing quarterback tonight. That was Demetrius Britt, the intended receiver. But Perry was all over that play from the get-go. You're not going to win a jump ball with Caleb Perry very often.
No, you're not.
Here he comes. Perry through the middle. But his teammates swarmed it before he could get there.
Fumble.
Ball's on the ground again, and guess who's come up with it? It's Great Crossing. We'll see who comes off the bottom of the pile. Looks like, well, now we got some pushing and shoving. Trey Combs was at the bottom of the pile. I didn't see if he was the one that came up with it. Chase Little was down there as well.
We'll see if this goes both ways.
I would think somebody probably said something to initiate that push from behind.
Now they're just calling it on Western Hills, and man, that's going to put the ball on the 25-yard line to start off.
It's going to be 27-0 real quick.
Yeah, you're already down 20-0. I'm not sure why the officials are huddling. It seemed like it's pretty cut and dried. It was unsportsmanlike. You mark it off and
figure out where now
they are going both ways. Yeah.
All right.
Or they just, I think they just must.
Maybe
have
they
pointed
just
the wrong
gave it
way.
against Great Crossing.
Yeah.
Usually they see the retaliation. In this case, they heard the words, I guess.
Let's shout out to Western Hills student section. They got a lot of kids there.
They're here, and they will have better nights than this. They're definitely playing shorthanded tonight. It's going to be that kind of season. You're going to see some COVID forfeits, but I think you're also going to see some teams that are going to saddle up and play with a skeleton crew and do the best they can. A little confusion, I think, and some different standards statewide as to how different schools are going to handle it. But I think if you're vaccinated, you can play is what it amounts to. There's a swing pass that falls incomplete.
That's still a nice throw by Nichols.
Right on the money. Just
Yeah.
kind of, that's a tough one to throw and a tougher one to catch on the run, I think, sometimes. Isaiah Johnson, he picked up that loose ball on the squib kick earlier, was the intended receiver. Caden Allen checks into the game. He's going to be a two-way player this year. He's a load at 5'11", 230. See him line up in the backfield a time or two. He's back there now along with Jaquise Patterson. And Nichols again in the shotgun. Coulter split out to the left. Perry to the right. Here's Patterson on the right edge. He's got room. First down at the Western Hills 45. Keep on rolling, do the Warhawks. 34 seconds remaining. They'll have time for another play here in the first quarter before they change ends. Already up 20-0. Three different great crossing backs have found the end zone. Wilson, Patterson, and Perry.
Well, that offensive line is just starting to take over.
They are men up front.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You know, the other kids get the glory, but you can see it. There's a 5-yard gain up the middle. Just move the pile. Caden Allen on the carry. We mentioned that he had just checked in on offense for the first time. That will be the final play of the opening period. It was all great crossing. Couple of turnovers. 3 for 3, and they're looking to make it 4 for 4 on offense, and they're up 20-0. Let's talk about a few more of our corporate sponsors that support Bird's Nest Broadcasting throughout the football and basketball seasons. Those are Paint and Flooring, your hometown paint and flooring connection. Scott County Veterinary Clinic, where they love and treat your pets like their own. Come and join the SC Veterinary Clinic family, our next door neighbors here at Bird's Nest Stadium. People's Bank, working together, building success. See them at 101 Canewood Center Drive. Time to Shine Car Wash, no fewer than 8 Lexington area locations. There to serve you. Your car will shine at Time to Shine Car Wash. Steve Skierman, Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance, ready to meet all your insurance needs. Domino's Pizza, check them out at their new location, the corner of Champion Way and US 25. Beautiful new building, 2 stories. Burger King, home of the Whopper, a couple locations to serve you here in G-Town. Sword Performance, love their product. They're the official hydration product of Great Crossing and Scott County Athletics. Keeping us going here through a doubleheader. Jersey Mike's, they're building their new place adjacent to Planet Fitness. Check them out in the fall when they open. And BMT Maintenance, technicians that are factory trained and certified. They service your HVAC, cooking, and refrigeration equipment. Give them a call today. And once again, thanks to BGO sponsoring this event. Thank you to my employer, Newsgraphic, newsgraphic.com. Please do subscribe. The printed product is available Tuesdays and Fridays. Both these football stories will be there probably before you go to bed tonight, since it's a weekend. If not, certainly when you wake up in the morning. All the details from both halves of this doubleheader special event. Been glad to bring it to you. Great Crossing will be home next week, too. Can't remember. Is it East Jessamine they got at home next week? Anyway, we'll be here with that one. I believe Derek Varney might be making an appearance next week. I think that's the one where he's going to be stepping in.
Yeah.
Saw him today.
Oh, Derek. Another Scott County guy, great kid. I played for his dad, Mutt.
Talk about a family that is synonymous with this community.
Oh, no doubt. So enjoyed my time playing basketball for him. And
anytime you answer to coach and mayor, you've had quite a life.
That's right. What a terrific event we've had tonight. I think all 4 teams have had their dance team here.
Yeah.
The band, all 4 teams have had their bands here. Student sections have been outstanding. Crowds have been incredible.
Exactly.
Shout out to DT Wells.
Those are the
Austin
things
and Steve Helton and
we missed.
All 3 of those guys.
Those are the things we missed, and those are the things you can control. Even when you don't have a close game on the scoreboard, which we haven't tonight, it just feels like an event just the same. Nichols going to go deep to Perry. First play, just a touch overthrown. That could have been 6 as well. Even in double coverage, Perry had a step down the near sideline. Good call on second and short. Now it'll be 3rd and 4. They're at the Western Hills 39.
Yeah, I like that play call right there. But I'm just so overly impressed. You know, Nichols is just flicking the ball, man, and it's getting out there in a hurry. He is really got a good arm.
He's got a quick release, strong arm. He's got confidence in his receivers, and rightfully so, because he's got at least 3 very good proven ones in Perry, Harris, and Coulter. He's got another one in motion, Mason Wiley.
Yep.
And he throws to the left side. It is complete for another first down.
That's a well-designed play right there. Play action, get the back out of the backfield. Just a nice swing pass. Then you've got one-on-one out there in space, and you're usually going to get your 4 yards.
Wiley, the man in motion, just spotted up and caught that and found the marker at the Western Hills 29. Chains move again. Great Crossing has scored every time they've touched the ball. Nichols takes the shotgun snap, throws it over the middle deep. It's going to, could have been picked off in the end zone through the fingers of the Western Hills defender.
Yeah, that was a ball that should not have been thrown. Double coverage. The center fielder was back there waiting to pick and just missed it.
I think Peyton Harris was the intended receiver. Garrison Graves, if the roster's correct, he's a freshman. He's listed as a quarterback DB. He almost had himself his first career pick. Slipped through the fingers. It'll be 2nd and 10.
And that's one of those where they'll look on film and, you know, hey, Gabe, right there, let's eat it. Let's check down and hit somebody else. Or
a little late developing play there. Nichols keeps it. Finds some room up the middle. First down and more inside the 15. Busted play. That was kind of one of those triple option reads. I don't know if it was a busted play or just a slow developing one, but it actually, I think, played to his favor.
It did. I think it was a matter of, you know, Western Hills got great pressure, and he
Too
was
much.
able to just, step up and then, okay, now I'm going to take off.
They read it well, and they over pursued it. Nichols picked up 16 yards to the Western Hills 13. In this case, it's an RPO read. I keep thinking triple option because that's what they ran for 2 years. Inside handoff to Caden Allen, and he's just going to be tough to bring down. He's going to lean forward, takes the rugby scrum into the end zone. 230 pounds of Caden Allen finds pay dirt. That's 4 touchdowns from 4 different backs, and Great Crossing taking Western Hills to school.
And they're going to go for 2 here, Cal.
Why not? At this point, get yourself to 28.
Caleb Perry coming into the game, I think we'll see that Wildcat
I think that's a
formation.
good spot for it.
Yeah.
It's worked once for a 6-yard touchdown. Of course, the ball spotted on the 3 for the PAT. They
haven't started the play clock, but Great Crossing seems to be a little confused, so it's a good thing they have it.
He's got Allen and Patterson back there. He will keep it himself, make a man miss, make another man miss, leans forward, gets it. What a second effort and third effort by Caleb Perry, 28-0.
And Western Hills really had played that well. That's just an unbelievable individual effort. They had it stopped.
Twice.
Yeah, that's why you give it to him right there. He made a guy miss and then stretches that ball, gets in.
Just incredible effort on the touchdown for Caden Allen and on the PAT for Caleb Perry.
Already to serve you, including our newest location on Village Market Path in Georgetown. where you can enjoy the contactless convenience of a drive-up window. Use the Domino's app on your smartphone or go to www.domino's.com on any browser.
The last several kickoffs, they've sort of pooched it and it's bounced around. We'll see what happens here. I thought Dylan Norton for Western Hills made a nice play on the last one, came and got it, but
I mean, you talked about the turf. That's a fact. You just got to do that every time. I
Yeah,
mean, you're putting yourself in a position of giving yourself a chance to get the ball back every time.
Right. If you can't kick it into the end zone, you might as well try something of this nature.
A little bit of a longer squib kick that time, taken at the 20. But well covered by the Great Crossing special teams. Jaden Youngblood just had nowhere to go. Pilot Lacasco was there. A couple others. Number 5, Gabe Nichols. Not 6, I'm sorry, Isaiah Johnson. I was going to say, I didn't think Nichols would be in there in special teams.
Got a guy down.
It is Youngblood, the return man. He got piled on at the end, and he is a hurting unit right now. 10:32 to play here in the half.
Tackles made by number 21, Rylan Dykes.
Can't really tell. He's still on his stomach.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you that all home football games are broadcast live. NFHS Network. A portion of your subscription fee is given back to the school.
He is still down.
He is, and they've waited for a doctor to come out from the sideline. Hate to see, anytime you hate to see any player go down.
Got a lot of Bluegrass orthopedic staff on the scene tonight because, of course, they're sponsoring this fine event. So he's in good hands. He's moving around. He took a vicious hit from 2 or 3 different Warhawks.
Sword Performance is the official hydration product of Great Crossing.
I don't know if it's a lower body injury. Now they're rolling him onto his side.
Is built to perform. Pick up a Shield electrolyte beverage today at any Park Pump and Shop.
It serves as a much-needed water break for the officials and for the Warhawks right now, as we see down here on our side.
Looks like his left hip is what they're attending.
Yeah, he got pinned under there pretty hard. Now he's sitting up. That's good news. Western Hills just a little bit out physical tonight so far, I think, as he is on his feet. Certainly he looks to be in a lot of pain, but it's good to see him up.
Yeah, it is.
Jaden Youngblood, a junior, running back and defensive back for these Wolverines, who last year they played on short notice. Tonight they're playing with a short bench for sure. But that is to take nothing away from an incredibly impressive opener for the Great Crossing Warhawks. So.
And their players, number 5, Jaden Youngblood.
Have just looked impressive in all phases tonight. Offense, defense, special teams. All have had a part.
Yeah, they really have.
In putting this one out of reach early. I think if they score again, you'll see them go for 2 again. I think that was by design this time. They see that 36. Wouldn't be a bad night to get out and get done. This is a favorable schedule for these Warhawks. They can ramp up, it looks like, to that challenging district that they're in. That's a high throw, incomplete, well covered over there by Peyton Harris.
little bit of zone action right there by Great Crossing.
You know, Western Hills is probably going to have to throw the football,
Yeah.
even though they, as you said, have a backup quarterback going.
And we'll see at what point that they start bringing, blitz packages from different angles.
Yeah.
Right there, they pretty much drop back and said, find a seam if you can find one. But here it looks like the linebackers are going to come.
That run is stuffed big time as they're just flying to the ball, or the Warhawks. Will Frazier was there. Jeremy Godfrey was there. He's a load at 350.
Yeah.
To say the least.
And on 3rd and long, this is where a kid like Fisher, you can just pin his ears back, try to beat that left.
I knew about talons up. Now they got shark fins up going. He's got Jaws music playing, and they're all doing like shark fins on the helmets. Some definite swagger with the Warhawks this year, and rightfully so. They smelled blood in the water tonight. 28-0, 9:56 to play here in the second quarter.
Looks like we're going to have a penalty on the bench.
We'll mark off 5 yards. Is that a bench situation, sideline warning situation, second warning, or I don't know.
The play was over, and the official from
Something
the far sideline right in front of Western Hills came running in. So you have to think that's what it was.
3rd and long, Western Hills doesn't have a lot of yardage to speak of in this game. Never mind points. Quarterback's going to keep it. He's a runner by trade anyway. He's going to get smothered at the 23. Perry was there, of course, along with Jarve Ray.
And that was a good read right there by the quarterback, because they brought the safety in from the left side, and he read it, but then Perry's so fast he was able to get there and make a stop.
You're just not going to get around him.
And I'm wondering if Western Hills realizes it's
4th and 10
down.
Or they may just say, you know what? I don't know if you saw Scott County or Great Crossing play Grant County the past couple of years, but this is what they do. They don't even punt. They go for it even if it's 4th and 20 on their own 10.
I think
this is going to be a punt, it looks like.
He's backing up.
He kind of backed up enough to get it away. A little rugby-style kick. Good one, actually. It's not going to take a great bounce for Western Hills, but it's going to die at the 40. And that's where Great Crossing will go to work with 8:53 remaining in the second quarter. Chance to really put this one away. They're up 28-0. Mekhi Wilson back in the game at running back. They've gone with a 3-man rotation of Wilson, Patterson, and Allen. They've all made it to the end zone once. Perry joined them.
They have, and that really bodes well for, this season. You get somebody banged up,
you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
They lost their main running back last year, first or second game, with a broken arm, and their running game really struggled after that. And Western Hills jumps at the snap count, and it will be 1st and 5, I believe. It's going to be marched off as offside.
And that's where that veteran offensive line comes into play. Hey, on this one, we're going to go on 2 instead of 1. We haven't done it all game. You get them to jump, and now you're in a terrific situation with 1st and 5.
Hand off to Wilson. Team, he is deep into Western Hills territory. Finally knocked down just shy of the 30, marked at the 33. If he gets in the open field, look out.
Yeah. But it's the O-line, Cal, that they're making holes right there you could drive a truck through.
They've run it up the middle. They've run it on the edge. They've given Gabe Nichols ample time to throw,
That's
and he's
right.
been on the money.
And the one time they didn't, he was able to take off and get a substantial gain.
Makes a difference when you go from 15-year-old boys to 17 and 18-year-old men up there
That's right.
in the trenches.
Well,
High snap, first mistake of the night for Great Crossing. Heady play by Nichols to try to fall on it, but now Western Hills recovers. First break for the Wolverines all evening. Dylan Norton, he alertly covered a kick earlier. He alertly covers a fumble here, errant snap.
Well, he tried to do the right thing there by just falling on it and not picking it up, and bless his heart, it bounced right back out.
So Western Hills with its best field position. Of the night by far. At the Great Crossing 45. Not much there. A good forward progress, probably the most they've had all night against this GC defense. They'll pick up 5.
But this is what you got to do if you're Western Hills. You know, let's take some time off the clock. We can get 4 or 5 yards and get some first downs.
Cameron Rogers on the carry there for Western Hills. He's a freshman. They've got some young kids
They really do, yeah.
in there tonight.
They're shorthanded tonight.
The Great Crossing knows what that's like. They've been there,
That's
done
right.
that, paid their dues. And all you can tell Western Hills is stick with it because this is what can happen. Another good carry for Rogers. Gets it up a couple of yards shy of the first down. They might mark him at 36, which would make it 3rd and 1. Have the Wolverines had a first down? I don't think so. Don't know that they've moved the chains.
They have either.
We don't have WL stats. They do have a stat program here. Printer's not working, so I'll get them post game. But the key stat is the one on the board right now, 28 zip, 6:53 and rolling in the first half. Western Hills in a deep hole against Great Crossing. Great Crossing trying to win a season opener for the first time in its history. Well on its way. That's going to be a tackle for loss. Fisher was there with a host of others. Allen, Godfrey, etc., etc. Lacasco.
And I think you got to go for it if you're Western
Absolutely.
Hills right here.
Where are they going to mark it now? Yeah, I was going to say. They gave him a little too much progress there. 4th and 4 at the 39.
This is where Caleb Perry comes into play. You know he's going to come up to the line, pick his spot. You got to find somebody to block him.
And he is just about unblockable at this level.
We'll see where he lines up. Yeah, they're going to call timeout.
5:44 to play, second quarter. Key play for the Wolverines if they want to prolong this game, I think. Last series was the first time that the Warhawks didn't score tonight. A high snap over the head of Gabe Nichols that Dylan Norton recovered to give the Wolverines this opportunity. 4 different running backs have scored. 3 backs and a utility man in Caleb Perry. Emphasis on the man.
I think right here you're going to see some sort of rollout. It's the guy, that's playing quarterback. He's used to playing running back.
He's got that ability to roam, yeah.
And you got to put him in a position to where hopefully he can either throw a little 6-yard down and out, or he can run for the sticks and hopefully get a first down. They're overloading the right side with 3 guys.
He rolls to his right. He is under duress. He is going to get sacked. Turnover on downs. Orion Fisher was there for half of it, and Caleb Perry for the other.
Just unbelievable pursuit right there by Fisher.
The two D1 players meet at the quarterback.
Yeah. And if you're Western Hills, that's the last thing you want, because now
At least, if you get shut down on a rollout or something,
Right.
but not get sacked and lose 10 yards.
now Great Crossing 46 yards away from
Probably putting
game
this
on
away.
ice.
Yeah. I think you got to like the chances with Perry on another 2-point conversion.
Another
He's
high
lining up
snap.
at quarterback right now. There's going to be a flag. He's still going. Second, third, fourth, fifth effort. Touchdown if it stands, but it's not going to. It's coming back, I do believe. Holding. They threw that pretty quickly.
But if that's not Caleb Berry back there, that's another ball that snapped
Right.
over the quarterback's head.
That's exactly right. They'll mark it off 10 yards from the spot. That'll put it back on Great Crossing side of the field at the 41. So it's a little more than a 10-yard penalty. Now, if they brought the ambulance for that Western Hills player or what?
I was wondering
Got
that.
flashing lights over
Yeah,
there.
I was wondering that. Another big hole.
Run by Mekhi Wilson. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling up to the 20 of Western Hills. They've just got weapons. They've got low to the ground, hard to bring down weapons in the backfield with Wilson, Patterson, and Allen.
Led by that veteran offensive line. It's a great combination.
You got 5'8" guys running behind 6'3" and 4 and 260 guys. Nichols to throw deep. He's got his man. Overthrown. Nice defensive play there by Western Hills. Number 4, Jason Rogers. Intended receiver was Zakari Kelly. He had him in the back of the end zone and just a touch overthrown.
Yep.
5:02 to play, second quarter. 2nd and 10 at the 20 of Western Hills. Going for the kill there. If they get in the end zone here, they'll go for 2. Kelly again split out to the right. In motion is Johnson. They'll throw it to Kelly. Kelly makes a man miss at the 15, cuts it back inside, down at the 7. 1st and goal, Warhawks.
That's terrific blocking downfield by the other wide receivers. We talked about that play. Get it out to a receiver in space, but in that situation, it wasn't a one-on-one. There were some other receivers, but they did an awesome job of going down, blocking downfield. Patterson blocking his man all the way to the goal line.
Just doing the little things you got to do that don't show up in the box score, but it's putting points on the board. As Great Crossing threatening to go in again. Inside handoff to Patterson, stopped at the 2. Second and goal. Call it about the 2.5. Yeah, they do mark it at the 2. Now we'll have a timeout. Is it an official timeout?
Yeah, they threw a flag. I don't know if it's another sideline situation or.
Dead ball foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, something against Western Hills.
Yeah, that's on the sideline.
Yep.
On the field will be a sideline interference
Are they?
on Western Hills. So bring up a second and go from the 1 yard line.
The ball will be marked at the 1, half the distance. Nichols, handoff to Wilson, walks in for his second touchdown of the night with 3:41 to play in the second quarter. Warhawks fixing to put this one away.
And they're going for 2, just as you.
I can't imagine why not. Don't prolong prolong Western Hills agony, I guess, any longer than you have to.
But on this short yardage situation, they're leaving Nichols in the game. So they've been going to that Wildcat.
They have.
Perry.
Try something different here.
So we'll
Maybe throw it to Perry and have him go up
might.
and get it.
They might. But the way that offensive line has been in control, wouldn't surprise me if they just went off tackle.
Nichols to throw. Avoids the sack, lunges forward. He is in. Is there a signal? Yes.
Yep.
36-0. Let the clock run with 3:41 to play in the second quarter. This is probably the result I saw coming for this one. I can definitely say the other one wasn't, but Micaiah Wilson with his second touchdown run.
Well, I've just been overly impressed with great crossings. You know, multiple guys touching the ball, as you said. Nichols has really been the surprise to me, the way he has commanded that huddle and just looks so smooth.
Presence of mind for sure. He looks like a guy that's a second or third year starter too.
Yeah.
You know, not someone who was out all of last year.
And he's made, a bad read or two, but that's what, you get in that film room, and he's got the talent.
And they will coach him up for
absolutely.
sure. This group has done a good job in all aspects, and
he's just made some great throws.
There will be tougher opponents than this down the road, but this is certainly an impressive start for the Great Crossing Warhawks to the 2021 season. Another squib kick on the ground, covered up by somebody with a lineman's number 52, Billy Ratliff. And Western Hills will take over. Clock running under 3 minutes now. We'll be home early tonight. That's not always a bad thing. This is a warm one. There's not enough Powerade and sword drink in the world to get me going through these two games. Let me tell you.
Well, they've taken care of us.
They have. I can't complain one bit. Western Hills, not in any hurry to get up to the line. I think they would just as soon warm up the bus. That play goes nowhere. Chase Little snuffed it out. Caleb Perry, who else? Fisher, Frazier, the same cast of characters we've been talking about all night. Chase Little flexing.
But just as you said, Western Hills, they're going to take this clock down to 3 or 2 seconds and then snap. They want to get to halftime, regroup.
Chase Little is another one of those guys. You can see he's transformed his body with the weight room. It's made a difference. Just at that point of attack, they are Western Hills doesn't have any time to build up a head of steam. Yeah, they took a whole minute to run one play. Sweep to the right. Lassoed for another loss.
Alex Witt. Loss of about 3 on the play. Tackle made by number 27, Orion Fisher.
Ryan Fisher was there. Trey Combs was there.
56, Trey Combs.
Clock under a minute. We won't have any halftime stats, but I can tell you the yardage is a lot to a little. We can tell you who scored the touchdowns. I'd love to see Western Hills total yardage because I think it's right around 0.
Yeah, they have struggled. They're going to get a penalty right here for a delay of game.
Yeah, you can run time, but you can't run that much time.
And, we had talked about with Great Crossings the way they were so young a couple of years ago, but they got a chance to play together. And then last year they made the improvement. And then this year they're so much better because they're in their 3rd year. But with Western Hills, you've been practicing this whole preseason with certain guys, and now all of a sudden they're not out there.
It does.
That's what makes it difficult.
It's a challenge that would be tough for anybody. I mean, certainly, if there's certain kids, if you took them out of the Great Crossing lineup, it would be a tough go. So. But that being said, Great Crossing looks like the deeper, bigger, stronger, faster team on the field tonight, regardless. Another tackle for loss. Fisher comes in at the end, but Combs and I think it's Allen were there first.
Correction 38. Correction 28. Nada. Loss of about 3 on the play.
4th down and forever, but they're not going to have to run another play. That was an impressive half. For the Great Crossing Warhawks, who lead it 36-0. Got a feeling the second half will be about 24 minutes of real time, and we will be out of here. Glad you could join us on the Bird's Nest Broadcasting Network on newsgraphic.com and the NFHS Network. So Makai Wilson, the newcomer, senior, got in the end zone twice. Jaquise Patterson once. Caden Allen once. Caleb Perry once. Perry with a 2-point conversion rush. Gabe Nichols with a 2-point conversion rush. And that's how we get to 36. Recovered a squib kick on special teams. Recovered a fumble. All phases have done it tonight for the Warhawks. Let's look ahead at the Great Crossing schedule because, as we said, they've got the normal 5 games before they have to go into the district this year, and that's going to play to their advantage too, I think. They've got North Oldham at home next week. It's not one of the Jessamines. It's North Oldham. Henry Clay on the road Labor Day weekend, Friday the 3rd. East Jess on September 10th at home. Then Bourbon County away on the 17th. You want my prediction? I say Great Crossing is going to be 5-0 when they play Scott County.
Well,
we'll see.
We'll
see, but I think certainly there's an opportunity there for them to be that. And they're going to be that's going to drum up so much interest in that game that we may have a repeat of
There-
2019 in terms of a crowd.
There might be a few people here. for
Might be
that.
a couple. That might be a super spreader event. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm just so glad we were able to have, I think they announced 3,100 here tonight.
Yeah.
Just a great atmosphere. The bands, as we've mentioned. A lot of Frankfort fans have gone home, at least the Franklin County folks. They've seen enough of the second game. Probably the Western Hills fans have too, I would think.
The Franklin County fans went home happy, that's for sure.
Yeah, they did. They will have a lot to crow about, but they have larger fish to fry. They have a 4A title to try to win. And for Scott County, you just got to flush it and go next week and win big at Lafayette if you can, and then get some momentum going.
Yeah, and we talked over and over, and I was so glad that you brought up the year that they started off 0-3 and then ended up getting all the way to the semifinals of the 6A title game, because there is a lot of football to be played.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
in recent years, we're not used to seeing that against Kentucky public schools for the most part, so that's why it's shocking to some people, but this is a real good team that beat them tonight. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any shame in it necessarily.
no, and it's August 20th. You know, when we get into that second week in November in the playoffs, then that's when you got to be at your best. And I think both Scott County and Franklin County will be. I mean, obviously in two different divisions. And we mentioned it before, you know, make no mistake, Franklin County is legit. They put everybody on notice that
Yeah.
they're on a mission.
They're going to be tough to beat in their district and in their class.
Yeah.
No question about it. Look at Scott County's schedule, though. They do have Lafayette next week. Lafayette, I believe, didn't win a game last year. So then they have a bye. And they've got to get healthy because they go to Bryan Station on the 10th. They host Dunbar on the 17th. Dunbar made it to the state semi-state round last year in 6A. And then they go to Douglas. So, and then they host Great Crossing. Not a lot of breaks on that schedule. And then they, at the end, they go to Ballard and Catholic. So I think that's the big concern tonight. And you mentioned it is all those hobbled linemen, seniors. You know, we don't know what Campton Martin's status is going to be.
Right. But, you know,
and then when healthy, what is his role in the offense going to be? I think at some point they'll have to make that decision. But.
Well, and I think they'll start playing some of those guys both ways. Montego Jones and Campton.
In talking to Coach McKee, the plan very much tonight was to primarily run Campton out of that Wildcat. He says it's basically wing T offense, just with a direct snap to him. So
right.
He wasn't going to be throwing the ball all over the yard or anything. But when he got hurt on the first play, it obviously changed a lot. Yeah, there's certainly no excuses to be made. Franklin County won that game in impressive fashion.
You were talking about that schedule with Scott County earlier. You know, the one thing that I think about when you're playing a season, no matter what the sport, is if you have a big game, then you like to have a little bit of a lull before another big game. Well, they got Douglas and Great Crossing back to back.
Yeah.
That is two emotional weeks.
Yeah, and I mean to tell you, it's a big game this year. I mean, there's been a lot of talk the past 2 years about a game that really wasn't much of a game, but I think you're seeing tonight that it'll be a contest this year.
Yeah.
And both teams will be ready. It'll be fun. You know, I've been watching the freshman JV level the past couple of years, and you see those games being pretty much an even split.
Right.
Close games. One team wins, then the next team wins the rematch or something. And you know, those players are juniors now, so it's to be expected the gap is going to close. And I don't know what the final Douglas score tonight. They were up 27-7 over Bryan Station. That's an impressive win for them, certainly. But
A lot of talent on that Douglas team.
there is no shortage of it. Final was 27-14, so Station closes the gap a little bit there. I mean, I think there's a case to be made that they're the second best team in Lexington. Catholic might think differently, or LCA, but
Well, and as you said, Dunbar had a nice year.
Dunbar had a nice year last year, and they've got Coach Johnson doing a good job over there. So it's definitely on an upswing. I think some of those years that Scott County had such good teams, it coincided with a lot of Lexington teams being down. And sometimes it was made them look a little worse than they were, but they are certainly on the upswing. So we'll see Henry Clay against. We won't see them here, but they'll be hosting Great Crossing in a couple of weeks, and that'll be a interesting matchup. Henry Clay in a second season with a new coach, and they've fallen on a little bit of hard time, so that's a good test for Great Crossing against a 6A opponent. The halftime entertainment ongoing here as the fans enjoy the ambiance of a beautiful night in Georgetown, Kentucky at Bird's Nest Stadium. I want to thank our sponsors again, Bluegrass Orthopedics, the title sponsor of this event, the Battle of Elkhorn Creek. I'm not sure if it's going to be played here next year or Franklin County. I know Franklin County has new turf. I don't know if that will be the situation or not, but I know this is expected to be an ongoing thing.
Well, I was wondering if they would just simply invite two different teams to come in and play Great Crossing and Scott County.
Possibly, too. You never
maybe
know.
Two Lexington teams.
Either
whatever.
or. I mean, these bowl events, as you can see tonight, it's a great way to start the season.
Yeah.
And a lot of these communities throughout the state do it, and it's a great place to kind of see two for the price of one, see a lot of great football, and see some matchups you might not otherwise see during the season. So.
Yeah, and you could always get, a couple teams from northern Kentucky to come in, whether it's Fort Thomas Highlands or Covington Catholic or Beechwood or whatever the case. You're going to find some great competition.
Good schools up there for sure. I would say Kentucky high school football is in a pretty good place right now. And I think you hear the comments of people like Coach Stoops and other people who are active on the recruiting scene, and they finally have to pay attention to it in a big way.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt when you look at, when Stoops came in, he was recruiting all the Ohio guys, and now it's kind of flipped to where he's taken Vince Morrow and sent him to Louisville and some other places.
Lexington.
And, I mean,
you gotta win your. It's all over the state, really.
Right.
Down in Johnson Central, and there's all kinds of players around this area with prospects that can play at that level. We just see a UK just named Bo Allen the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's a kid that was playing just a couple of years ago. Going to be interesting to see Brian Hudson at Louisville. I know the Louisville coaches are very high on their offensive line. There's a lot of depth.
Yep.
It's a situation he was in at Virginia Tech too, but I think it's a lot different situation and a positive one for him, and I can't wait to see what he makes of it there with the Cardinals.
Now, is he still throwing the shot and the disc there?
He is. He is a multi-sport D1 athlete, and there aren't many of those. As long as he can do it and balance it, if there's anybody who can, it's Hud. I don't know. He's had some nagging injuries over the past couple of years. Obviously, right after his senior high school football season, he had a knee issue that. And then I believe his second year at Tech, maybe the end of his first year, he had a hand situation. But, playing line at that level, you're going to get beat up. He's ready to go at Louisville. Can't wait. Just can't wait for college football in general. It's going to be the SEC, and it's only getting crazier once Texas and Oklahoma join the fray here.
That's nuts.
Down the road. It's the sign of the times. It's like the NBA. Everybody wants to form a super team, and now we have super conferences, and everybody wants to Be the best, you got to beat the best, I guess. We are about 3 minutes away from second half action here at Bird's Nest Stadium, where we will have all the home games for you this season on the NFHS network at newsgraphic.com. That's news-graphic.com. Please do check out the game stories after the game, the photos. You can go back and watch all kinds of archive sports over the past couple of years on our YouTube platform. Audio, video. Our multimedia team is here tonight in force. We're excited about all that we have for you this football and basketball season as well. Some other stuff we're excited about. Weekly sports show we're going to unveil in a couple of weeks. Showcase some of these local athletes and teams and all the great things they're doing. Twice as many of them now. It's crazy.
Was just asking you how you were dealing with that.
It's a lot of fun. There's no shortage of. It's just it's great for the community. I mean, I think we all got used to having one super school, and I think we took a lot of pride in the size and the depth and the breadth. But we've also got a lot of talent in this town, and there's plenty of it to go around. It's fun to see a lot of it showcased here tonight on both sides.
We've certainly seen some good football, that's for sure.
Yeah, we saw an impressive Franklin County team, a Scott County team that, listen, they're going to be back. They ain't going away. They will regroup, and you'll see a different team next Friday night. And then this Great Crossing team, I'm high on what we're seeing out of them for sure. I think a lot of potential. And again, people talk about Douglas, but man, they had two grown men on the offensive line that they've graduated. I just think I think football's won there. I think a team like Great Crossing with this much experience up front can make a game of it, and Scott County too, if they can get their running game cranked up. So it's going to be an exciting district. It's going to be an exciting regular season schedule where we, knock on wood, hope we'll have all 11 weeks. As we said, I don't think it's going to be a total shutdown situation. Just like tonight, Western Hills, God bless them, trying to play.
Right.
Last year they probably would have forfeited the game.
Kudos to Don Miller and his group for coming over and trying to compete in this game.
Don's a good guy, the AD and the coach over there, and he and his kids are up against it tonight, but they'll be back. Like I said, a lot of freshmen and sophomores in this game for them, so you just got to keep them motivated and keep them in the weight room. Warhawks back on the field. They reset the clock to 3 minutes, a little bit of a stretch, and then we'll be back with a running time second half. Don't blink, you'll miss it. 36-0. Mekhi Wilson leading the very balanced running game with 2 touchdown runs tonight, as we mentioned. One apiece for Perry, Patterson, and Allen. And the defense, it's just been one tackle for loss after another. It's been a jailbreak lately with 4 or 5 guys getting to the ball before it gets out of the quarterback's hands, really.
Yeah, they have been swarming Rogers.
Yeah, you got to feel bad for a guy that's not used to playing that. I mean, he's used to being hit. He's a running back, but it's just there's a different mental challenge to trying to read the field, and you don't even have time to hiccup.
Well, it's unofficial, but when I was counting earlier, it looked to me like they had 19 players in uniform tonight.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, I come from up north where that's not always unheard of. A lot of schools up there are going to 8-man because of their numbers like that. But I've seen 11-man football try to be played with that few, and it's just not – honestly, it's not a safe situation. But, like we said, Glad they showed up and gave it the college try tonight. But
Yeah. Now I'm counting 21. They're in the line stretch, and I'm counting
Okay.
21. So
well, you got a lot of guys playing both ways and a lot of guys playing out of position is what it amounts to, and it's a challenge. And they're playing against a very good opponent. I think that can't be overstated. Great Crossing is going to be heard from this season. Fisher and Perry are the real deal. They both were in the backfield, multiple stops for loss. Perry just leveled the kid on that one blitz play there.
they were, but we expected to see that.
Yeah.
What we didn't expect, or what I didn't expect, was just to see how smooth that Gabe Nichols looked at quarterback, Mekhi Wilson at running back, Patterson looked good.
They don't seem to have any weak spots. They've got
that's-
veteran receivers. They've got a ton of backs that can carry it. They've got 3-year starters, big guys on the line, and they've got a quarterback that's not the situation's not too big for him. So good things are coming.
And just as we had talked in the first game about Franklin County having the lead, you got to keep that lead. You got to keep the foot on the gas pedal. Let's see what Great Crossing does right here.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be a shortened half, but you can't come out and be lazy, because that's when you get hurt.
No, you don't want to get lackadaisical.
Right.
You'll probably see some different kids in there. They get to use some of that depth.
Yeah, I would think at the most you'll see Perry and those guys
couple
for
of series.
2 series probably.
And probably one offensive and one defensive series will be the third quarter. So Great Crossing will kick off to Western Hills, which unofficially, by my memory, did not make a first down in the first half. And I'm guessing minus yardage.
It certainly seemed like they were going backwards.
They were at the end. Yeah. A little forward progress early, but Jack Harold, the sophomore kicker for the Warhawks, will again kick it short to a lineman who fair catches at the 32, falls down. Marked at the 33, and that's where the Wolverines will take over with a running clock. Great Crossing going to be 2-0 in the series against Western Hills. They won 42-7 last year, as we said, on short notice. A lot different situation tonight. They were ready to go in every sense. No great sense of urgency for Western Hills. It is now down to 11:20, and they have not snapped the ball. Quarterback sneak goes nowhere. Trey Combs in there with others. Caleb Perry, Pilot Lacasco, Chase Little.
That's an interesting play call to start the half.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting play call at any point. That's one of these, let's shorten the game and get out of here play calls, I think. Although if you're trying not to get someone hurt, it's probably not the play to call. 2nd and 10. I guess it's better than taking a knee, right?
Yeah.
Under center is the quarterback, Rogers. Handoff for another loss. Fisher time and again. Demetrius Britt on the carry. Caden Allen was over there. Will Frazier was over there.
Great Crossings will hit you. I'll tell you, they are lighting people up tonight.
This has been an impressive performance. There has just been no forward motion for the Wolverines in quite some time. Last drive was -9 yards. This one's -2. They're going to get some here across the 35. Demetrius Britt on the carry. 4th down and 7.
Got another kid down.
Just what Western Hills didn't need is another injury. It's Britt. It's the ball carrier, Britt. Several times tonight, the guy who's carried the ball has paid the price. Just got some big dudes on the Great Crossing side. And they swarm you. They don't just hit you one. There aren't a lot of solo tackles for the Warhawks.
No, that's a good point. They have tackled in groups, and they get hats to the ball, and that's what a defensive coordinator wants.
Britt is on his feet. Good hand from the fans that remain here on just a great night for football, weather-wise and just culture-wise for all these programs. Look at this defense last year. They held Western Hills to 7. They held Montgomery County to 8. They had some other games where they gave up a bunch of points, but I think that's going to be the exception this year.
I would agree with you.
Just think they're tough at all 3 levels. Quarterback running for his life. It's going to be picked by Perry. He steps out of bounds, mad at himself at midfield.
That was interesting with it being 4th down. That.
Yeah, I guess it's as good as a punt.
Yeah.
And again, it's 36-0. Great Crossing will take over at its own 46. Gabe Nichols, the quarterback. It's been a solid debut at the varsity level for the junior. Hands off to Makai Wilson. Wilson strong off left tackle, still going, head of steam, has the first down and more inside the 40, the 35, breaks away from about 4 or 5 more would-be tacklers before he runs out of bounds at the 25.
And again, it's not only is that offensive line getting a great push, but the wide receivers are out there blocking their guys. They are not, halving it. It's, okay, I'm going to get out here and block for my guy who's running the ball, and that's going to get you an extra 5-10 yards every time you run the ball like that.
He's just a guy that if you don't hit him early, you may not hit him. He gets to that corner and he turns on the jets. You get deceptive speed. Now it's Jaquise Patterson in the game. And now they're starting to alternate the backs within series. They've just got some depth at that position this year. Gain of 8 for Patterson. Warhawks pouring it on tonight. Looking at their scores last year, the most points they scored was 50 against Grant County. They're in that winning streak. They had 44, 42, and 50 in consecutive games. This is getting up to that level. Patterson untouched to the corner, touchdown. His second of the night. Patterson scoots in from 17 yards out. It has been an embarrassment of riches for this Warhawks offense.
And it's nothing crazy, you know. It's just handing the ball off and it's
Pretty basic
pretty
stuff.
basic stuff, and they're getting to the house.
Big holes at the point of attack.
Extra point attempt by Jack Harrell. Holder, Caleb Perry. Correction, the kicker. The number 16, Caleb Morrison. The extra point is good.
Well, we talked about keeping the foot on the gas, and that's exactly what they did. They come out, they get a turnover,
6 minutes and 31 seconds.
and then 3 or 4 plays later, they're in the end zone. So certainly keeping their focus.
They have not abandoned any of their focus. They're as sharp as they were at the start of this game. They've basically scored at will.
And I think after this series, I don't think we'll see too many of the frontline guys be back in there.
It has been. They've done their job. They can call it a night. I think just about at any time. 6:31 to play, third quarter.
Back deep to receive, number 4, Jason Rogers. Number 20, Cameron Rogers.
I see another quarterback taking snaps.
Kicking off the Warhawks,
Looks like.
53, Jack Harrell.
14.
Of course, I don't have a 14 on the rest. It might be Tanner Van Hoos. He's listed as 15, but he's the other quarterback. Ball is again on the ground on a kickoff. Western Hills covers it up, I think. Yes. Every kickoff has been an adventure in both games. Western Hills takes over at its 33-yard line. Clock is running. 5:41 to play, third quarter. 43-0. Great crossing on top. They will start 1-0 for the first time in the 3-year history of the program. And host North Oldham next week. Straight ahead, nothing doing.
Ball's carried by number 20, Cameron Rogers.
They're continuing to hand out licks.
Big O once again, Orion Fisher.
Number 27, Orion.
And as active as those guys are, you know, Fisher and Perry, but that defensive line is getting after it. I mean, at the point of attack, there's no push from the offensive line.
You got Trey Combs, who checks in close to $3 bills. You've got Godfrey listed at $350. They've got some weapons there. Then you get the guy who has impressed me on the edge there, Will Frazier. Just looks bigger, stronger, faster than ever. That's going nowhere again.
Ball's carried by number 20, Cameron Rogers.
Rogers on the carry. Pilot Lacasco was first in.
Number 57, Pilot Casco.
3rd and 9, maybe call it 8 at the 35.
Third down and 8 for the Wolverines. On their own 35-yard line.
You can see Greg Crossing making some substitutions. Fisher coming out of the game right there.
I think now the mystery, the only mystery left is getting the shutout, which would be the first one in school history. You got to think the way the defense is still in there. Starters are still in there. They've got that on their mind a little bit. Godfrey tackle from behind after a gain of about 1.
Ball's carried by number 20, Cameron Rogers.
Maybe 2 yards for Cameron Rogers. They'll mark it at the 37. It'll be 4th and 6. Western Hills finally moving the ball forward here in the late stages of the third quarter. Again, hats off to them for playing this one under some adverse circumstances.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they've lost a couple of kids along the way besides.
Back deep to receive. Straight Bird.
Good punt.
Rogers.
Bird's just going to let it go. It's going to take a Western Hills bounce, and it's going to die inside the 10 at about the 7. So Great Crossing will have to go 93 yards to put another touchdown on the board, making it even 50.
The way they've been moving the ball,
I wouldn't bet against it.
I wouldn't either.
I see some new numbers out there, and I see some others that I've seen before. So.
Rogers. Punt covers about 60 yards. No return on the play.
That Nichols is trotting out there.
Warhawks will take
He's going to get one more series, I guess.
home 7-yard line.
And, you know, that could have very easily have been they were going to bring in the backup quarterback, but because the ball was punted all the way down.
You're going
to
to
the
say, yeah, we're not
7-yard
going to put
line,
him in that spot.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Now we'll have a bad snap and have a safety,
Yeah.
and there goes your shutout.
Let's.
Although,
as soon as we
what are we saying? We jinxed Gabe. He falls on it just shy of the goal line. They're going to mark it at about the 1 centimeter line. Well, now they got the work cut out for him. 2nd and 16 from inside the 1. And I do mean inside the 1. It is almost touching the goal line.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to give him a safety there. It looked like he was right on that line when he recovered it.
I think if the score were 43-7, they'd do it. I don't know. This might be the time for the quarterback sneak, although he's in the shotgun.
Oh, it's got to be all sides, isn't it?
Spinning away is Wilson, avoiding the safety. Did look like there was somebody in the
That was a
backfield
strange
before.
play.
The officials have gone into running clock mode too.
Well, I was going to say you mentioned that in the first game, and this game I think he was clearly offside.
3rd and 16.
3rd and a lot from the 2. This probably will be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Nichols in the gun.
Oh, he fumbled.
And he did fumble, and that is going to be a safety. So there you go. There goes the shutout. The defense doesn't allow the points, but Western Hills will get the deuce.
A safety on the play. Puts the Wolverines on the board, 2 points. With 22 seconds in the 3rd quarter.
43-2. That is not a score I have ever seen before. I did cover a 2-0 game once.
Really?
Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
I covered a 2-0 high school football game one time. Brutal, just brutal.
Was it?
You talk about two. You talk about two.
Or?
You talk no. You're just muddy. It was a cold, dreary day. 2 bad offenses is what it amounted to.
And this safety took place early in the game or late in the game? Or?
It was like first half. I think it was 2nd quarter, and it was just.
And after that,
neither team even got close. It was the weirdest thing.
Wow.
It's something I've never. And it's funny. One of the programs that was involved is kind of like was the equivalent of what Scott County is, up in Maine. They've won multiple state championships. They were having kind of a down year that year, but it was just weird to see. So we'll have the free kick.
Good kick.
I was going to say, you've got to credit the Western Hills punter with that safety for the 60-yard boot to put it inside the 10-yard line. Good free kick. And now they're free on the return. Some good moves.
Rogers.
By Mr. Jason Rogers.
He's doing it all.
Literally, he's done everything but sell popcorn and 50-50 tickets for Western Hills out of necessity tonight. Gets it into Great Crossing territory. I think that's only the 2nd time they've been there.
Western Hills 2 in your very own Warhawks
43. 43-2. First game tonight, 43-14. Franklin County was a winner over Scott County. If you missed that one, the highlights for the Cardinals were 2 returns by Jeremy Hamilton for touchdowns, 1 punt one kick. But the story of the game, Caden Warman, Bluegrass Orthopedics player of the game, had well over 100 all-purpose yards, 3 touchdowns. Great game from quarterback Jaden Madison as well. That's a team that's going to be tough to beat in 4A. Scott County, first season opening loss in 11 years. They will try to regroup next week when they go to Lafayette. We're being entertained by the dance team. 12 more minutes of running time, and this one will be over and in the books. A good time was had by most, I would say, other than maybe a couple of teams on the losing end, but 3,100 fans here tonight enjoying themselves throughout the evening. That's probably more than the total attendance for every home game last year. So we will take it in these crazy times. We're glad you could join us if you couldn't make it here. Heard from some people who had to stay home. They've been talking to me on social media, and glad we could be there for you.
It really is good to see, and let's just hope it'll stay this way.
Yeah, I mean, whatever we can all do without getting too deep into the subject, let's all do it. Try to help these kids out. We kind of alluded to it earlier, and I think got off the train of thought, but it's a short window of time these kids get to enjoy this. You know, they're giving some of them a 5th year now, but by and large, it's 4 years, and this is the second one being impacted by this. So really the third, because spring season in 2020 was taken away completely. So parts of 3 school years now. Another keeper for Rogers gets maybe a yard with his forward progress.
And I tell you, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but, you know, that kid doing everything he can with guts and glory on both sides of the ball, he may have to be our player of the game for them. He's just
if we had 2 to give out, I would certainly
he would be one.
It's going to be a challenge for Great Crossing. I mean, you kind of want to think defense, I think, but their offense has been so precise and surgical too.
Yeah,
so many different. They've spread it around so much that it's hard to. You'd like to give one to the offensive line, split it 5 ways, but
with that last interception by Perry, though,
that might seal it. Another tackle for loss here for LaCasco.
Got a pick, you got a sack, you got a
I think you got to give
touchdown.
that. You just pop the guy he's had multiple tackles for loss. Yeah, I think you're on the right track there.
But the Wilson kid, he certainly played well as well.
It's hard. He gets so much. He gets so much attention. Sometimes you find yourself looking for reasons to give it to another kid just to be charitable. But man, you have a game like that in all phases. And the great thing about Caleb Perry, for those who've not met him, I mean, just another great kid from this town that the success doesn't go to his head. Good student, good community member.
Fumble.
Ball is on the ground once again, and I think Great Crossing has it.
Number 20, Cameron Rogers.
Is that 47?
Tackles made by number 2,
57. Frazier forced the fumble.
By number 4, Drake Bird. Warhawks will take possession from their own.
I'm surprised to see Nichols out there again. I would have thought for sure that would have been his last series, but
43-yard line.
They've not gone too deep to the bench.
Ball's carried by number 28, Dylan Lay. No gain on the play.
No gain on the run there for the Warhawks, as cycling some new kids into the game. Although still a lot of starters in there. I do see 36 Elijah Fryman on the field for the first time. He's in the slot. That was a tough tackle. Almost looked like the helmet was going to come off. Dylan Lay with the carry. He's a sophomore, 173 pounds. Another one of those 5'8" backs. Low to the ground, getting the job done. Close to midfield. They're up to the 48. It'll be 3rd and 5. 7:50 to play and rolling. Great crossing on top, 43-2. That was Western Hills' parting gift, the 2. Quick throw to the right side. Lots of room over there. It was 1 versus 1. He's breaking tackles now, number 11, Zakari Kelly. He's had multiple catches tonight.
Yep.
It's a first down in Western Hills territory at the 33.
We've talked about that in both games. You know, just getting the ball out, just a quick little pass, one-on-one out in space, and let your athletes do their
Yes,
thing.
we've got a penalty, so that's going to come back, at least partially. Not sure what went on.
Illegal
Yeah,
shit.
okay, so it's going to be wiped out completely. So scrub the catch for Kelly there. But yeah, you're right. They've done a good job, as we said earlier, kind of diagramming safe throws that are in Nichols' comfort zone. Good way to break him in the lineup, and he has performed well tonight.
That's a 5-yard penalty assessed to the Warhawks. That's going to make it a 3rd and 11 for the Warhawks from their own 42-yard line.
Handoff right side, still going across midfield. Zach Morris. Morris can fly. He's a sophomore too. Down to the 25 before he's taken out of bounds. They're all built the same. He's 5'9", 179, the sophomore.
Morris is forced out of bounds by number 21, Dylan McGahee.
Tough run right there.
Started off to the right side and found a seam this way and got to the corner.
That's a 31-yard pickup.
These backs don't mind contact whatsoever. Warhawks trying to punch another one in. They've got 5 minutes and change. Morris, right corner this time, finds room up the middle. He's going to score. No, Dylan Lay, excuse me. Dylan Lay getting it done from 27 yards.
Those young guys both came in, made
I'm
several
telling
nice
you what.
runs.
A 28-yard touchdown by number 28, Dylan Lay.
The depth at running back is that's a new thing for these guys.
Extra point attempt, number 16, Caleb Morris. Holding number 8.
We got a new kicker in there. Caleb Morrison going to give it a try. He makes his PAT. It's 50-2. That ties the school record for points in a game set last year against Grant County.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's make some
Great crossing volleyball, won a 5-setter tonight over Bowling Green. That's a good win.
That is a good win.
Anytime you can beat a team from Bowling Green, they're good in everything. (15-12) in the 5th set.
Students at this time
I know we'll be hosting Scott County on Tuesday in volleyball.
Scott County's got some young kids in volleyball that are they put up a fight in their first two matches, but definitely right now, Great Crossing in the past couple of years, they've had a parade of future D1 players go through. Had a tough loss last night against Dunbar. Dunbar ranked 7th in the state, Great Crossing ranked 11th. So you can see in some of these other sports, Great Crossing already making its mark. Short kick again, fielded inside the 30. Western Hills will go to work there, probably get one more series before this one's over. It'll be under 4 minutes by the time they snap it.
And, you know, with UK winning the national title last year, you got to think high school volleyball is just going to continue to get better.
We'll talk about a good timing for that, right? I mean, you're right about that. It's a growing sport anyway. And, you know, it's one of those games that's been dominated by the private schools. There's certainly no denying that, but I think Lexington, Louisville public schools have made strides here, and it's even getting out into the periphery now. This is certainly the best team in Georgetown that I've been around is this past couple of years at Great Crossing. So a sport on the move. We'll see what lacrosse does here too. Is still on edge as whether KHSAA is going to sanction it. There's another sack.
You seem to think every year that that's going to happen, and yet
they just can't get the commitment. They set a number, and you know, I think some of these schools secretly like it not being sanctioned because they can play co-op schedules. You know, here even they really don't. You know, up to this point, they really haven't had the numbers to have two teams. So it will be interesting to see what happened if they did have to function as two. I'm going to be interested to see what the total offensive yardage was tonight for Western Hills because there have been a lot of sacks and tackles for loss. I don't recall a first down.
Well, it has just been a complete domination. But
you know, and it's been again not a fair fight.
That's right. You know, Western Hills was shorthanded, but you know, I've just been overly impressed with Great Crossing with both sides of the ball on the, especially in the trenches. I felt like their O line was making holes. The D line was, you know, just making life miserable for the poor Rogers kid.
That's an awful assignment to have for your first game at quarterback. Be running for your life from these guys.
And then you've just got some special players. I think the Wilson kid is primed for a huge year.
Yep, that was a good pickup for this program. And they've got some backs around him. Running for his life again, taken down for another loss is Rogers. We'll be back with you next Friday night I'll be back with you as Great Crossing hosts North Oldham. Scott County will be at Lafayette. And then Scott County has a bye week in week 3. Great Crossing will go to Henry Clay. So that gets us through the Labor Day holiday with the schedule. And as you said, we hope we get to play them all and play them with close to a full roster. 4th down and 13 for Western Hills. This will be a quick sign off tonight. So we want to thank our sponsors again. We want to remind you to check out the news graphic online and in print. We want to thank Bluegrass Orthopedics for their sponsorship of this event. Throws it deep to nobody in particular into double coverage. The receiver's mad, but well played by the second string defense for Great Crossing. Warhawks will get the ball, but they won't need to run a play, and I'm sure that will be it. Good doubleheader, fun one. Didn't have a close game to talk about, but we know that will change throughout the year. Scotty, it's been fun. I hope we can do it again in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you, fans, for joining us as Great Crossing gets a well-deserved round of applause from its fans. Your final score tonight, the Warhawks 50, the Wolverines of Western Hills 2. That will do it for Scotty Sutton, for James and Brent and our multimedia team, for Mike back at the shop, for all our sponsors. I'm Merely Cal saying thank you. Good night. God bless. We'll see you next week. Great Crossing goes to 1-0. They'll be back home next Friday night. Good night, everybody. Thank you.